I want to start today. As Guy says, we have a company, and I'll get into that here in a little bit of why exactly we went that route. But I end up speaking to our doctors quite a bit, and I'm constantly looking for inspiration, a lot of times on the business level, many times philosophically, and different things to share with the docs. So the other day I came across, looking through, it was going to be a philosophy type morning that I gave a talk. And I was looking through the books that are essentially green on the shelf, right? And I pull one down I hadn't seen in a while. And it's The Art of Chiropractic by Stevenson, thin one. And as I open it, I'm reminded of where we got this. And I don't even know if Guy knows this, but handwritten on the inside cover is Al Riekman, right? And so it was Guy's father's book when he was in school. And you can tell it's an older book, but in pristine condition. And so that alone makes it one of my favorite books, in the collection. But as I'm reading through, and I just skip through to kind of get some points, I read the foreword by a guy from a guy by the name of B.J. Palmer. More the generals leading the charge. But all of us day to day in our practices are really the ones that are going to leave the mark, right? Make the impact, move the profession forward like it needs to. And in a profession that arguably sees about the same percentage as it did 50, 60, 70 years ago, I think we have to start to look at what can we do to correct this? How do we fix this? And I think the question each individual should ask is, what is my legacy? What do I leave this profession? Because we're blessed to have this incredible profession that can provide a dream life, but what are we going to give back to that to pass it on to the next and to the next and to the next? And so when I look at someone like my son Tyler, and there's two more great younger brothers that are also in the chiropractic queue, right? And I wonder, what are we leaving them with? And what can I do on a day-to-day basis to make my impact, to make my mark? And so I think it's an important question each and every one of us asks, because it changes the way that you go to practice. Right? Dr. Ribley asked earlier, or the question when he was speaking of, we go and try to figure out how to get new patients. Right? When if you really were plugged into your why and were sharing the message, you can barely fit the patients in your door, because they come looking for you, right? And it's great. We have young docs in our company, and we send them out too, and we want them to go acquire patients everywhere. But you shouldn't be doing that 2, 3, 4, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, right? You're sharing that message each and every time, and the responsibility is massive that you place upon yourself, because you may be the one, the only experience that patient has with a chiropractor, possibly ever. And we all know how hard it is to undo something that was a less than optimal experience with a chiropractor. So you're blessed with the ability to remove a subluxation from a patient that walks in your office, but also a subluxation between their ears. You're blessed with the ability to change their paradigm on health. And many times we never know the things we accomplish with patients. Right? And you hear the miracles in your office, because some of them, maybe 5-10%, get back to you in a roundabout way. They told the CA came back. Right? And the miracles we hear are endless. right? People that were going to commit suicide that changed, that don't now. Relationships that were saved because they start to realize what love means again. Relationships with their kids because you know what? They're able to get off antidepressants now and start to get back to what life is all about. I never had a testimonial more than 3 months in that had anything to do with neck and back pain. It was maybe an afterthought. My neck feels better, but that has nothing to do with what I'm about to say. And then they go on to this long list of how their life was just changed. And things often I never even knew. And so we know the impact we can make on these patients. And many times chiropractors are the most guilty at overlooking the power of an adjustment. Right? Many people say, hey, what do you do for benefits for your, besides chiropractic care, what do you do for benefits for your staff? We adjust them, right? They get adjusted in our office. Complimentary. There's people that we know that get second and third jobs to afford chiropractic care for their family, and these people get to come in and get adjusted. And how dare we overlook that as to like, yeah, they get that, but what about a health savings account or something? We need to give ourselves credit for what we do and how many opportunities we have on a daily basis to change the world. In this room alone, thousands upon thousands of patients seen a day. And this is such a small group of people getting together. And the impact that we can make on these patients is life-changing, but it's also profession-changing. Because we've got to get out of this 4% or so. So when we ask the question, so what's my legacy? Well, for Vanessa and I, we had a long talk. We had a very successful practice early on. Felt very comfortable. Didn't have challenges of growing a practice without a doubt, but things were good. Building a house and driving fun cars and going on vacation and all that kind of stuff. But we knew there had to be more. So for us, it was a dedication to we're going to help young chiropractors, right, build their practices and design their lives. Because what I noticed nonstop was a broke mindset of chiropractors nonstop coming out. By our own recognition, 50, 60, 70% of them won't last, right? We're never going to build a profession and make the mark in healthcare if half of our brothers and sisters are going out of business. It just won't work. So the question for Vanessa and I was, we're not going to see more per day than this, right? Family is one of our top priorities. We're not really willing to negotiate. In other words, I'm not coming in earlier, I'm not staying later because I'm coaching my boys. I coach football. I want to be home with my wife in the night and the weekends and things like that. So we decide, let's try to see if this model is reproducible. So we open our second and tweak and tune and build systems and design and develop, but we see massive success for this, one of my best friends. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, 20 down the road, right? So we've opened, we're at 26 now. We have 6 in build-out phase right now. So we will be at 32 in the next 2-3 months. And we've learned so many things along this journey. But the least of which is that chiropractors can do this, damn it. And they can be extremely financially successful. And they can live the life of their dreams and not compromise anything with their integrity and their philosophy. If they share the message from day one with patients, and not because they have to go through that education process, because they can't wait to go through that education process. Because they know every patient that sits down for that, what we call an empowerment session, most call a report of findings, healthcare class, what have you, has the impact to change that patient's life. I don't remember the last empowerment session I gave that didn't have someone with tears in their eyes realizing what was possible, right? And hugs and things after you just met a person. Normal in our arena, but in the other arena, people aren't hugging someone on day one, right? And just to see the connection they would make. So our message was simple to our doctors. We have about 5 to 10 minutes. A couple minutes for the adjustment. They're going to do some traction. They'll have some interaction, right? Not how do we get them a good adjustment? How do we keep them happy? It's how do we exceed every expectation? How do we change their life for the better every single visit in 10 minutes? Whether we have them 3 times or for a lifetime. Let's not blow one single opportunity that we have with these people. Let's let them know how important the adjustment is. Let's inspire them to what true health is, to what life is all about. That it ties into relationships. Certainly a small part of it is feeling good, but more than that, it's your life expressing a level of health that probably you don't know exists yet, and we can't wait to open that up for you. But often we don't provide this experience as a profession every single time when people come in. The first question I ask new offices when I go, and I try to get to as many openings as I can, but I say, it looks beautiful, Dr. So-and-so, and things are great. Hey, let me ask you, what would you do a little bit different today if BJ came back from the dead and he was going to be your next patient coming in? What would you do a little different? And then I listen to the answers. And really, there shouldn't be an answer. But it's always like, well, I probably would have freshened this up, or perhaps I would have done this, or the music may be this, or there's always something they would have done. And so the answer I always give them is, that's it, right? In essence, BJ Palmer's walking into your office every damn day. You don't have multiple chances to do this. You've got one time maybe to express this amazing profession that we have to people and change their life. And so if there's an answer to that question, then you don't get it. Because you've got to provide that experience every time someone comes in and be proud of what we do. We're the worst at overlooking how impactful our profession can be. Right? I often tell the story when I get out and speak, but and it's often in Atlanta, but Chick-fil-A restaurants. Right, when they open out west, it's an event. People camp out for 3 days, in a parking lot to be one of their first 100 club that gets a value meal once a week for the first year. And they sleep outside for 72 hours to be part of that group. Now, we open an office, we as a profession I'm talking about, and we're scrambling to even get people to come in. Right? We're about to change their life. These people are providing chicken sandwich and waffle fries. Now, kudos to them for a business model that's incredible. But we've got to wake up. We've got to get across what we do. And it's preaching to the choir in this room, and I speak to students a lot too, and it's that same message I just see, and I let them know, hey, if we divide this room, 70% of you won't make it. Who's that going to be? Raise your hand. Nobody. Great. Well, numbers don't agree. Numbers say that 7 out of 10 of you will be out of business, devastated financially, stressed out of your mind, and probably badmouth insurance companies, policies, school, etc., and not take any of that blame for yourself. So we've got to inspire not only the patients, but the young docs coming in. Your impact has to be something that you give back to a level that's going to leave this profession better than you found it. For us, that was opening practices. Never our plan. 1 successful practice, 2 seemed incredible, 3 seemed a little stressful. Right? It is stressful now. But when I see these docs successful, right, the second one we opened 6 years ago, he's opening his 6th practice right now. We have 3 more that have been with us less than 3 years that are opening their 2nd and 3rd practices. And so when I see these young docs able to expand this vision that Vanessa and I had, was a thought. I remember the day that we came up with a company name, right, sitting in class. It's so powerful to think what that's become. And so many before us have done so many incredible things. But I want you to realize, because the ones we put up on the pedestals, and they deserve it, every one of them. I would never even dream of doing what Guy does. I don't know how he does it. But that being said, you have an equal chance. You're going to touch more patients than Guy's going to touch, right, next week. And how about going and getting that message across at a level that they start to realize how big this is? What happens when your piezoform hits that atlas? Takes that pressure off that brainstem. right? Are we asking how their body feels? Even if we tie it into something like allergies or something, right? That's the next level. No, it's like you're expressing health. Your brain is speaking to your body right now at a level it hasn't, possibly in years or decades. The effects of that, I can't even begin to get across to you. But I tell you one thing, I'm not scared to tell them that. And the first time they may look at you like you're a little nuts. But you got to love that. People have never been more ripe for this message of what chiropractic's all about. Even when I started, Vanessa and I opened in 2004 our first practice. Even then, I felt like I had to do a little more breakdown of the medical model to even validate what I was about to say. Now people come in with that. They see it they do more research on what they got going on than the doc. So they know it. So they are hearing a message that is welcome to them, inspiring to them, and giving them a chance to realize what's possible. So as you ask that question, when you go back to your practices, how would this look different if BJ was walking in here at 1 o'clock for the afternoon shift? Right? And then you go about things a little different. Walk in your front door Monday as opposed to the back door and walk through like a patient does. And every little thing you notice for the last 10 years, they notice. Because if we're rolling out the red carpet for an incredible experience that's going to change their life, things are flawless. Execution is crucial. Every little thing matters that we do. The lighting, the speakers, the music, the cleanliness, the parking lot, right? The CA that greets. It's all essential. And only when you focus on that do you begin to realize what's possible with these practices. I see no end in sight of opening these practices, and we're proud to do it because I love the mark we're leaving in our community. Right? And so many in this room are doing things that I've never done. You see more people than I've ever seen. But I want everyone just to take a refocus in my short talk today, right, of just how big what you do is, how many lives you've already changed and inspired, and how many new potential life-changing chiropractic patients and or doctors are walking in your office starting Monday morning. Treat that as important as it is. Don't ever lose focus of that. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.